Good morning, grade 10s. If you guys can give me a green check mark in Blackboard, that would be very much appreciated. I have a sneaky suspicion that time change could be hurting the class this morning. So we may just wait a couple more minutes here as well. But Jenna, if you're there, give me those green check marks, please. Perfect. Morning leads, make sure you guys are both in the live classroom and in Blackboard as well, so that you can hear me and that you can see me and we can interact together. All right. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Hopefully the time change didn't hurt you too much. I know it was hard on Saturday, or Sunday. Yeah, whenever the time change was, Sunday. When my daughter had a game at 9 a.m., which means really it was 8 a.m., and which means I had to get up early to do everything that I needed to do before getting her to ring at. So really I was up at my normal time, which is 5, but really I was up at 4. So I'm tired this weekend. But it was good. It was a good weekend. Ringette's over. Yay! So now on to the next sport. All right, which is soccer. Yay! Oh, it never stops parenting, you guys. All right, perfect. So if you're just joining us, you guys give me those green check marks. Costin, Jesse, Eric, good to see you guys this morning. So we are starting a new unit, ladies and gentlemen, with social studies. I'm super excited about this one because it ties into the last one and our big theme of injustice so well. But I think that it also ties in geography and the economy and all those different aspects of society. And this is actually one of my passions. I love geography. I love talking about climate, and I love talking about how that affects us as humans and how we deal with that. So that's kind of where we're going into our next unit here. So just a couple of, let me see if I put, oh, I did make an agenda. Let's just make sure we've got our announcements all cleared up. So please make sure you review the calendar for this week. If you've got anything to make sure that you guys understand, I don't think there's any major changes. I think you're with me still on Monday and Wednesday. You're with Mr. Borden Tuesday, Thursday, that sort of thing. Just check out and make sure if there's any of the field trips that are on there. I know mark cutoff was on Friday, so your interns will be coming out this week, all right? I believe, do not quote me, I believe we are going to send them out this Wednesday on the 15th, all right? So just be aware, be looking for those as well, all right? But sometime this week you will be getting your interns, all right, for your for third term for this year, okay? I think that's it. Make sure you're checking your marks, you guys. I do have a whole list of marking to do for you guys, so your social studies marks are not up to date at all, but they will be for interns, okay? And remember that we're going on interns for social studies, everything but the final project, because your final project was due today. So all the assignments leading up to your final project is what is going to be included on your intern. All right, so let's get started, you guys. Here we go. Here's your learning targets for the day. You can define what climate change is, okay, so you can understand what that concept is, and develop an understanding of the concept of climate justice, okay? You can consider who benefits from using fossil fuels and who pays the costs of climate change, okay? And then I can consider what climate justice means in the BC context. So what does that mean on a more local scale for us here in British Columbia? Maybe not on the worldwide scale is where we're gonna kind of start, all right? So in the assignment, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to just give you a foundation. A lot of you might actually already know what climate change is, right? You might have that core knowledge, but I want to make sure that everybody has that core knowledge. So before we watch the video, okay, I've got a fun little Bill Nye video for you, okay? We're going to partner up really quick and we're going to rally robin. So remember that just goes back and forth as quickly as you can with your partner And I just want you guys to think of some examples in climate or extreme weather. What are some examples? And maybe you can even think of some specific extreme weather events that have happened lately or in the past that you've heard of on the news around the world. Okay, so just what are those examples? So let's partner up really quick, you guys. Let's raise our hands so that we can get a good mix of partners here, so we're not with the same people over and over again. And we'll just make sure that you raise those hands, you guys. All right, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so let's go. Costin and Jenna, you guys are going to partner up. Jesse and Jonah, Connor and Kyla, and then Leeds and Josh B. You guys can go together. And then Eric, if you want to chat, you can chat with me. All right. So go ahead, you guys, get started. Let's just take 2 minutes to rally Robin. Okay. What are some extreme weather examples that you can think of? Okay, and even connected to the real world. Can you think of those examples? All right, let's just go for 2 minutes. Go ahead and get started. Perfect. Fantastic job, you guys. Okay, your knowledge is a lot more deeper than I thought. So that's fantastic. So what I want to do is quickly in the room here, okay, is now let's type into the main room. I'm just looking here, you guys. Is this? Oh yeah, this is me. Okay. So in the main room chat, can we now just type in some of your examples? Because some of you got, there wasn't actually a lot of overlap. So which was great to see. Just going to make my window a little bit smaller here, you guys. There we go. So now we can actually see. Perfect. Awesome. Love it leads, absolutely. Melting of the polar caps, yes, which actually leads to the rising sea levels, right? We're seeing that. That's actually scientifically proven now. Absolutely. Those are great examples, Kyla. Drought, forest fires, which we've had here, right? Especially in California as well. California sees some of the most severe weather changes on the planet, right? They can go from forest fires and droughts to floods within months. It's crazy. Tsunamis, avalanches, absolutely. Smog, rain, snow, hurricanes, tornadoes. Those are all fantastic examples. Jonah, I know you mentioned even the hurricane that you just experienced, right? A couple of months ago, okay? That's actually really personalized to you. So those are all examples of extreme weather that hits our planet at any given time, right? And that is all they are. They are all connected to the existence of climate change, right? Oh, went to the wrong one. Sorry, guys. So now what I want to do is get a little bit more. I know you're going to be like, you sound like Mr. Borden. I want you to actually watch a Bill Nye science video, you guys. And he just gives a really simplistic breakdown of how climate change actually works, okay, within our planet. I think it's super important to have that knowledge so that as we talk about climate change and climate justice around the world, that you have that background knowledge, that you understand what climate change actually is and why it occurs, okay? So if you head into the assignment, ladies and gentlemen, there is the Bill Nye Science video there. It is, just let me pull this up, you guys. I don't think it's that long. I only think it's a couple minutes long. Super easy to watch. So I'm going to put 3 minutes on the timer. Once you're done, give me a green check mark, okay, in Blackboard, and then we'll come back and reconvene and keep moving on with the lessons. Oh, thank you, Costin. Okay, never mind, you guys. Thank you, Costin. It is actually about 5 minutes long. So I'll put 5 minutes up on the timer. All right, perfect. Thank you again, Costin. Okay, so go ahead and watch that video, you guys. All right. I'm pretty sure that should have given you guys enough time to watch that video. Again, remember to give me those green check marks that I know you completed watching the fantastic Mr. Nye. All right, good. And so you have a little bit of a solid background now around how climate change works within our planet, right? And that's really, really important. Oh, my question didn't pop up. Oh, there, look at me. I actually have transitions going on. All right, so I want you guys to complete a think, pair, share. So think about what you just learned in the video, okay? And this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna think for take 30 seconds right now, okay? And think about the extreme weather changes that you guys have been talking about, okay? All of that. So is climate change something that will happen like way in the future? Or are we seeing it now? And I want you to explain your reasoning. Take 30 seconds. Don't just start right away. Okay, let's take 30 seconds and just think about that, okay? As you're thinking about it, you're going to stay in the same partners that I've already partnered you up with, but I know a couple people have already, they came in a little bit late. So Anthony and Kaylin, you guys are gonna be partners for today's class, okay? So now, let's just do a quick pair up and share your thoughts around this question, all right? So is climate change something that's happening way in the future, or are we seeing it now? And I want you to explain your reasoning. So let's just take 2 minutes, okay, you guys? And then we'll come back. Perfect. Just finish up your comments. I don't want to cut anybody off. But as you guys were talking, okay, I was looking at your guys' chat, and I think as a group, we're pretty We're pretty close to the same consensus. But I want to really, really reiterate to you guys, okay? And I'm just gonna go, because now I'd like to share, you know, to see that, right? For you guys to see that, yes, we actually do, we all kind of are on the same page. So how many of you guys agree that, yes, we are seeing climate change happening in our world right now? Just type yes into the chat, or no. If you don't think we're seeing it right now, type in no. See, so you guys can see a lot of you guys are on the same page, right? Yes. But now what I want to reiterate with you guys is, remember, you have to always justify, right? You can't say, yeah. Okay, good. Kaylin, there was actually a couple of you guys, so thank you for speaking up. It wasn't just you who actually felt that way. That yes, we're seeing it, but I don't think it's to its fullest extent yet, right? So there was a few of you that actually made that comment, so thank you for bringing that up, all right? So remember, so now let's put in some reasons into the room chat. Why? Why do you think we're seeing it now? What are some examples in the world that it's there, you know, that give us that thought? Yep, good. Good, Costin. Yeah, we know that the ice caps are melting, right? Yep. And therefore, and that ties into, yeah, so Kaylin and Costin, your guys' thoughts are right together, right? So if we're melting if those glaciers are melting, the ocean levels are rising, which means that it's decreasing our land size as well on the planet, right? And think about it, where do most of the population of the world live? Where do we settle when we start to make cities, urban areas? Great, you're right, Costin. California is a great example. So think of the landmass of California. Where do most people live in California? Do they live? Yes, Kyla. Good, thank you. By the water. Which means that most people, think of the planet, think of the whole world. Most of us live near water because we need water to survive, right? We need water for our crops, we need water for irrigation, we need water to live, right? So we have to settle by water. But if our water levels are rising, guess what? That's covering our settlements, right? Covering our cities and our whole states and all of that. There's a great video, and I don't know if I showed you guys or my grade 8s. There's a great reenactment video that National Geographic puts out around the water level rising over the next, 50 years. And if that happens, what does our world now look like, right? Huge masses, like Vancouver Island is gone, right? All of Vancouver Island, gone. And what happens? Where do those people go? We need to move further and further inland, right? Right, Costin. Okay, so great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so for us, but what about our future generations, Costin? Do we not have to worry about that then? That's not our responsibility, right? It's in the future, don't have to think about it. Just throwing it out there. Okay. And that's actually valid. That's actually a lot of people's viewpoints, right? But there's a growing number of people that actually think, yeah, we do need to start taking responsibility for actions now so that our future generations don't have to worry about this, right? And we continue on with our legacy, okay? And Costin, I think your viewpoint might change once you have kids. Yeah, right, Kyla? And that's the point that I'm making, right? Yeah, what about our future generations? Okay? Absolutely. Oh, gosh. Austin. Negative Nelly. You don't know that once you get a little bit older. Okay? I said the same thing when I was in high school, right? So, yeah, so just something to think about, right, you guys, when about the future. So thank you for bringing up all those valid points, you guys. Fantastic. Good discussion. Okay, let me head back to my PowerPoint here. So we talked about that. Now, there are some key terminology, though, you guys, that you do need to have a grasp of as we go through this unit to really think about and understand that the global warming, climate change, climate injustice, when we start talking about that, okay? There is a difference between global warming and climate change, okay? Global warming is actually the process of the earth heating up, right? Primarily by the burning of fossil fuels. It's not the only thing, though. Please do not get bogged down that it's only fossil fuels that causes global warming. Yes, Jenna, it is a theory, but it's also a scientific theory that has been proven, right? I want to make that very, very clear, okay? So it releases the CO2 into the atmosphere, right? And we've noticed over the last couple hundred years, right, that there is a global warming trend. Yes, there has been other global warming trends in the past, and when I talk the past, now I'm talking like, thousands and thousands of years ago, right, in different eras. But yeah, right? But there's other, I want you guys to be very, very aware that a lot of the scientific research is around with global warming is around the burning of fossil fuels. But there are other reasons for global warming that we think are out there, okay? That it's not just the burning of fossil fuels. That's just one thing, okay? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, Kaylin, we can't live without CO2 either, right? Like CO2 is needed by the plants. And yeah, it's just a process. Absolutely. Yes, that is true as well, Jonah, right? But we keep growing from those theories, I think, too, right? Absolutely. There's been some notable scientists out there that have predicted the end of the world, and it never came, right? I believe I lived through one of those, the year 2000. All right, but and it never happened. Absolutely, but remember too, science is a process as well, right? But there are predictors out there that indicate that global warming is happening and it is changing our climate. Okay, so this, Costin, I haven't heard that, but maybe I'll do some research around that, right? Around if people are actually trying to control the weather. Okay, I would not doubt it. Let's not put it past us, right? But climate change is that altering of the climate patterns because of global warming, right? Because of the warmth. So we're seeing more participation, more intense storms, and you guys have already talked about that, right? Caused by the burning of fossil fuels and other reasons, okay? Just for time's sake and because of this unit, that's what we're gonna focus on is the fossil fuel element, okay? You need to know that carbon dioxide is part of this process, right? So that heat trapping molecule, right, that concerns scientists, that is warming up the earth. And that 2 degrees Celsius, and I think someone mentioned it, I don't know if it was Leeds or Jenna, someone in the very first Rally Robin that we did actually mentioned the 2 degrees Celsius, okay? This is actually, that rise. This is where we think the world's average temperature is actually going up over the years, right? And again, it's huge. And like since, about 200 years ago, since the Industrial Revolution, you guys, and really the big push around fossil fuels, our average temperatures have increased by 0.8. So if it gets up to that 2 degrees, right, that's where we're going to really see those ocean level rises and all of those other things. We're going to lose we're going to lose plant and animal species. We're going to have to see huge relocation of huge amounts of population around the world, that sort of thing, because remember, we live by water, okay? All right, Now, you can't see this very well probably on your tiny, tiny little laptops, you guys. But in the assignment, I've given you, because now what I want to do is, now that we've got this base knowledge around what global warming is and what climate change is, and we've got that idea that it's changing the weather patterns, now I want to start talking about that element of climate justice, okay? So why should, and Costin, it ties in so well into what you brought up, right? Is that idea of why should we care, right? Today, why should we care if it's so far into the future and it's not really going to affect our lifestyles too much? Why should we care? So we've done this strategy before, ladies and gentlemen. We've done a checkerboard quote before. So what I want you to do is go into the assignment, take a look. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes, okay, to just scan the quotes and star, highlight, take notes, whatever you think you're really, just the quotes that you really connect with, okay? What are the ones that you're like, yeah, that I can totally connect with that, and think about why. Why did you connect to it? All right, so let's take 5 minutes and go through those quotes, and then we'll come back and share. right. So you've had a chance to look at the quotes now, ladies and gentlemen. So really what I want to do is and let's go pair up first, because I know that's a safe place for you guys. So let's pair up first. And then I want to share like the one quote, okay, that you connected with the most and why. And then we'll put it into the room chat as well. But partner up first. Let's just take, again, 2 minutes, all right? And just share which quote you connected with the most and why, okay? And do that same partners as last time, okay? Take 2 minutes and do that, you guys. Good, you guys. Just finish up your thoughts. I want to give you, I can see that you guys are still typing, so I want to make sure that I'm not cutting you guys off. Good, you guys. All right, now I would like, if you feel comfortable, those of you, can you guys share which quote? And again, you can just put the author into the room chat as well, right, you guys? And I'll head to the room here. If you want to type out your quote or just put it in who said it and why. Why did you choose that one? Oh, who typed that one in? Jesse. Good. Thank you. That ties in perfectly where I'm leading. Yeah. So why did you connect with that one, Jesse? What made that one stand out to you? Good. Kyla, that was the one about the Inuit, right? Yeah. Good. So what made that one stand out for you? You guys can just type in like why. Good leads. Yeah. Good, Jesse. Yeah. And so Jonah, why did you choose that one? Why did you connect with that one? Yeah. They probably see quite a bit of it, right, Kyla? Because they live up north, right? Where they see a lot of the dramatic, drastic change that's happening with the polar caps, right? With the ice caps. They are probably on a first-hand basis with that. And because they are a migratory people as well in the past, it's probably affecting their hunting rituals, right? And all of that, which it's devastating. Yeah, it's interesting too that two of you chose the that message around the poorest, around the injustice around the haves and the have-nots, and that leads me into right where we're going from there, because that ties into that big idea. So really, we're talking now about climate justice. Okay, we've just come off of a unit talking about injustice in the world. Well, now there's this whole concept and theory around, well, there's a concept around climate justice and climate injustice. And it's recognizing that climate change has not only has a negative effect on everybody in the world, most people in the world, right? But it impacts the poorest and the most vulnerable in the world the most. And those are the people, those are the communities that contribute least to the problems, right? It's us in the Western world, it's the industrialized countries that really are creating the climate change problem with our fossil fuels, with our use of fossil fuels and consumption of fossil fuels, our consumer society, right? We contribute the most with our food industry as well. That's another leading cause of climate change, right? Producing the amount of food that we do for the amount of people that we do is really very, very unbalanced, okay? And it affects the poorest nations, the poorest people in the world, okay? So climate justice is the concept of we as industrialized nations need to take responsibility on furthering the action against global warming, our consumption of fossil fuels, right? And we are responsible for the ones of lowering those emissions of the greenhouse gases so that it is fair and just for everyone around the world. It's really talking about that equity and equality issue, okay? That's the concept of climate justice. So I want to introduce this video to you that talks about climate justice and injustice. This was actually created by students down south. I don't know if I put it in who actually created. I think I did, but I don't know what district they're from. But I know it's down on the Lower Mainland. And they're students just like you who studied this as well. So I want you guys to take a look at this video. It's just under 4 minutes long. So take a look at this and be ready to answer some questions as well. All right, you guys? So let's just take 4 minutes and then come back and give me a green check mark in Blackboard once you've done previewing the video. All right, go ahead and get started. Good. Just a reminder, you guys, give me a green check mark in Blackboard once you are done watching that video. I think you guys should just be finishing that up as well. So as you finish that up again, I want to do a quick little think, pair, share, because I want to start bringing it down from a global aspect to more of a national aspect, even a provincial aspect. Okay. So with a partner, okay, I want you guys to just do a quick think, pair, share again. Does BC or Canada, because we are one of those industrialized nations, have a moral obligation to reduce our emissions, or should we be concerned with our own economic interests, and why? Okay, so and when we talk about economic interests, right, we talk about our own producing of fossil fuels, right? We talk about the consumption of oil, right? You know, it's huge in Alberta and BC, these pipelines that are being proposed to come in, right? So really you got to think about the environmental impact versus our economic interests. So do we have a moral obligation? So with your partner, I just again want to take 2 minutes, you guys, and then we'll come back and share. All right? So go ahead and get started on that. All right, I can see that was maybe a little bit of a tougher question to kind of digest and process for you guys. I didn't have as much conversation going around, right? So I think that was a little bit of a tougher question for you guys to bring it into, you know, your own opinion and what you think, right? So good job, you guys, on that. Now, here's where we want to bring it into our own province, and I did have a little chuckle over Leeds and Josh's conversation as well. So the good news, okay? So when we talk about climate justice and whether or not BC and Canada has that responsibility to climate justice, we have legislated a greenhouse gas reduction, those targets. So 33% below 07 levels by 2020. And by 2050, we want to reduce it by up to 80%, okay? And brought in a modest tax on carbon, right? That might be going up, but we'll see. All right, but the bad news is, right? There's no concrete plan to fully achieve these targets, right? Again, instead, we've really focused on our economics, right? And we've shifted to ramping up the extraction and export of fossil fuels. especially in regards to that LNG, the liquefied natural gas. You guys probably you hear about that all the time, especially from our Premier, Christy Clark, right? Super, super important. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I am not saying that. I completely realize that our economic system is very, very, very heavily reliant on fossil fuels. And I think that's great. We need that. We need that to find the balance. That's where I'm hoping to put on you guys, is where is that balance? We need to bring in money. We need to make money. That's just our reality, right? It's not ever going to go away, okay? Our use of fossil fuels. But we need to find a balance between our use of fossil fuels, our consumption, and our impact on the environment. And how do we do that? That's really, so whether it's through taxing or whether it's through lowering our emissions, whatever that is, all right? So that's really, really important, you guys. So now really quickly then, here we go. So if that is our good news and our bad news, so we know we need to reduce, we've got these targets, but we're not really focusing on those targets. Really, we're trying to amp up our LNG extract, right? We're trying to produce more. Does it make sense for BC to try to even reduce our greenhouse gas? That's what GHG is, greenhouse gas emissions, while at the same time expanding exports of fossil fuels. Does that make sense? Like I said, you guys, I think there needs to be a balance. That's my opinion. What's yours? That's really what I'm asking. So with your partner, what is your opinion? How do we, and even if you have an idea, right? How do we do that? How do we still take care of the environment and grow our economy in relation to energy production? Let's take another 2 minutes. Discuss. Good. Again, a big question that I know it's hard to wrap your brain around, and maybe as we go throughout the unit, you might change your mind, you might come up with more ideas, right? That sort of thing. Good, you guys. So our next slide here is now talking about and looking at that disparity, okay, between going back to that idea of climate injustice when we talk about the poorest of the poor and the wealthy, okay? So if we take a look at this graph, I know sometimes it's hard to read a graph. That's why I got it up here so that we can work through this together, okay? So when you see the bottom axis, right, where it says all households, okay? So this is on, this is BC, right? Let's take a look at the title, okay? This is the British Columbian greenhouse gas emissions per person. So the first column is all households. Then as you go down, it's broken down. Now what a quintile is, you guys, is 1/5 of households, okay? So you're looking at the lowest of the income earners, right, all the way up to the highest income, okay? That's what it's looking at. Then you see that there's two different colors in each column, right? There's indirect emissions and direct emissions. So what I want you to focus on is looking at the lowest quintile up until the highest quintile, okay? What do we really notice? What trend do we notice, okay, around our emissions and in relation to income? Yes, good, Kyla. So it continues to go upwards, right? So when you look at that highest quintile, it's like we were saying, right? This is actually scientific proof, right? We're kind of proving that the highest income earners, the more wealthy, emit more greenhouse gases, right? Versus the lower income people, right? We can see that trend, okay? And that's really what we're trying to get across. So we even can see that, we can see it on a worldwide scale, right? When we look at wealthy nations versus unwealthy nations, but we can also see it here in our own home, here in BC. So the wealthy people are the ones that are consuming those fossil fuels at a faster rate than the low income earners, okay? So you can see that actually greenhouse gas, our environment, is very much attached to our economy as well. And that's where that concept of climate justice comes in. Who's responsible for helping solve the problem, right? We're saying that yes, us who are more well off should be taking more responsibility because we're consuming more, right? That's that whole concept. Now, just let me quickly go through this, you guys. Okay, yeah. So now we are to the point of your applied. I'm going to see that. I'm just going to quickly check in our assignment here, you guys. I'm pretty sure we're at the point of now you guys going on to your own work. We looked at that. Yeah. So now we are at the point, you guys, I have some questions that I would like you guys to work on. So this is the point where I can quickly review those questions with you guys. And then I'm gonna, go quickly, and then I can go to my office, you guys. All right, there we go. So I've got 5 questions for you guys to answer, and you're just gonna answer them in the online text box, okay? But I don't just want one-word answers. I want you guys to really deeply show me that you truly understand what we talked about today and that you truly understand the concept of climate injustice and climate justice, okay? So why might people with higher incomes be responsible for more emissions? That's your first question. 2, what are some other reasons why some people may have higher emissions than others? What are some barriers people face in reducing these emissions? And if BC needs to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, should some people reduce theirs more than others? Why or why not? Okay. And then what are some things we can do as a province to pursue climate justice in BC? And BC has one of the highest poverty rates in Canada. How might the pursuit of climate action help or hinder action to address this important issue for our province? So I've asked you guys some really deep questions there, okay? You have the rest of class time to complete this. What I would like to see is if you get stuck on a question, feel free to reach out to your partner, okay? And see what they think. What are they writing down? Really make this a collaborative experience, okay, for this assignment. All right, you guys? So what I'm looking for, no, I didn't put in an assessment. In the assignment, I have an assessment. I want you guys, don't just give me, surface answers. Don't just tell me yes or no. I want deep understanding, which means you're showing me examples. You're coming up with solutions. You're really thinking about this issue, okay? So I want, almost paragraph answers for each of these. Okay, I don't just want a couple sentences. I want you guys to showcase that you really, truly understand this. And if you need help, I will be in my room. Give me 10 minutes to head back to Blackboard in my office. You've got your partner that you can work with. All right, feel free to chat about what they think and you guys can incorporate an answer together. So if you need to, take a 10-minute break too as well, you guys. And then I'll be checking in with you guys on an individual basis how things are going. All right, but that is your task for today. All right, so give me 10 minutes and I'll head back to my office. And this is the end of the live classroom. Please stay in Blackboard. All right, bye guys.